Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The focus in the Middle East has recently been on keeping the peace in Gaza and then disarming Hamas. But at the same time, another danger to Israel has been rising yet again in Lebanon. Hezbollah is rearming.
Well, meanwhile, in Jerusalem, massive crowds of religious Jews protested against serving in the military. Julie Stahl has our report.
Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Jewish men, known as Haredim, took to the streets, prayed, and blocked the entrance to Jerusalem for hours Thursday. They were protesting a proposed law to draft religious students into the army and the government's arrest of Haredi draft dodgers. One young man fell to his death after climbing to the top of a crane, and hundreds clashed with police.
It is not worth it to fight with each other. We are all for the Torah. We are all the children of the Creator of the world in this country, and we all need to be one people. We are all a family.
Military service in Israel is mandatory, except for the ultra-Orthodox who are exempt. That causes great political and social friction here in Israel, especially now after 2 years of war.
And I'm here today on behalf of all the reservists, all the soldiers, all the people who were injured in this war, all the families who lost their beloveds, to tell my brothers, the Haredim, join us. There is no contradiction between serving in the army and serving the Torah and studying Torah.
Later on Thursday, Hamas returned 2 more bodies of murdered hostages. Amiram Cooper, 84, one of the founders of Kibbutz Nir Oz, was kidnapped and murdered in captivity. Sachar Baruch, 25, from Kibbutz Be'eri, was taken from his mother's home when terrorists raided it. They murdered him later during an IDF rescue attempt. The bodies of 2 Americans are among the 11 remaining in Gaza. Those bodies should have been returned in the first part of the recent deal 18 days ago.
The combination of the determination of the political leadership and the resolute actions of our wonderful soldiers and commanders has led to the crushing of the Iranian Axis to bring back all our living captives.
Meanwhile, tensions are rising between Israel and Lebanon, with reports that the ceasefire is in danger of collapsing. Israel has been carrying out frequent targeted strikes against Hezbollah terrorists as they try to rearm and rebuild their infrastructure in violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. According to the agreement, Lebanon is required to disarm the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, which has been slow going. However, the Lebanese army has not confronted the Israeli military. But in a sign of a shift, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun reportedly instructed the army to confront any Israeli incursion into southern Lebanon after a municipal worker was killed there. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar met with the UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Janine Hennis. He wrote on X, Hezbollah, with Iran's support, continues to intensify its efforts to rebuild and rearm. This is dangerous for Israel's security, just as it is for Lebanon's future. Israel cannot bury its head in the sand in the face of this trend. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And the world can't bury its head in the sand in the face of that trend. Hezbollah absolutely wants to wipe Israel off the map. That is their stated goal, and they want to use everything in their power to do that. They created tunnels, they created rocket launchers, they supposedly had a military as large as a European nation. We were listening to intelligence reports claiming that just 2-3 years ago. They were utterly defeated in the past 2 years, but if we allow them to yet rearm, it is an absolute danger to peace in the Middle East. And who's behind all of that? Well, Iran is. And so that funding corridor from Iran all the way to Lebanon seems to be very much intact. If the Lebanese army won't do it, we certainly can't expect the UN to do it. They were charged with a safety zone that was put in place after Israel withdrew from southern Lebanon after the last war. Right at the foot of some of the watchtowers of the UN camps, you had these incredible Hezbollah installations that were firing rockets into Israel. And it's amazing how the UN dances around that. Well, we're a peacekeeping force. We're not a peacemaking force. And somehow, if you're a peacekeeper, all you do is observe. But in that observation, they didn't even raise a flag of warning. So can we expect the UN to do anything? I think no. Can we expect the Lebanese army to do anything? It doesn't seem that they want to. They're making some public proclamations. But in the long-term interest of Lebanon, I remember it before the PLO was given sanctuary there back in 1972. And in the 1960s, it was called the Jewel of the Mediterranean, where all of the religions lived in peace and they had a wonderful government, a wonderful economy. And today it's in shambles. Wouldn't it be great for the Lebanese people to have peace and not have Hezbollah? But we'll see. But all this talk of peace, but there doesn't seem to be any change in the ideology of hate against Israel. Well, in other news, President Trump is calling on Senate Republicans to take extreme measures to end the government shutdown. John Jessup has that story and more from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. The president made his statement as pressures from the government shutdown build in many parts of the country. CBN's Dale Hurd has the story.
Nearly 42 million Americans receiving food assistance under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, will lose those benefits tomorrow if Congress can't agree on how to keep that program going or reopen the government. Overnight, President Trump called on Republicans in Congress to change the rules in the Senate to again open the government with a simple majority vote instead of the 60 votes currently needed, the so-called nuclear option. Trump posted on Truth Social, because of the fact that the Democrats have gone stone-cold crazy, the choice is clear. Initiate the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster, and make America great again. Conservatives have long opposed getting rid of the filibuster because they believe it could open the door to bad legislation in the future, and Republicans don't seem to have the votes to do it anyway. Almost 1.4 million federal workers have already gone without pay, and more than 750,000 are on furlough. Air traffic controllers are going on their 6th unpaid week, and that could lead to massive travel disruptions. Meanwhile, food banks across the country have scaled up efforts to help those in need of food assistance.
We're treating this just like a hurricane where we're going to step in. It will be a challenge, but we're up to the task as we have been before.
However, 27 states have so far announced they will step up and provide some level of funding for SNAP benefits and food pantries. On Capitol Hill, the Democratic push to extend Obamacare medical subsidies is still the major sticking point, putting other programs like SNAP at risk. Some Democrats have said other money can be used to fund SNAP.
Some of the Democrats have argued that you can use this contingency fund, but the truth is there's no legal mechanism to do it.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said the Democrats holding out over health care is not a partisan issue, but a moral one.
Republicans have the nerve to admit before the American people that ripping away SNAP benefits from 16 million children in this country and more than 1 million veterans is a pressure tactic designed to get the Congress to continue to gut the health care of the American people.
We're happy to talk about health care policy. We're happy to talk about tax policy. We're happy to talk about regulatory policy, but not at the point of a gun. You do not get to take the American people's government hostage and then demand that we give you everything you want in order to pay our air traffic controllers.
And Vice President Vance has pleaded for what he called 5 reasonable Democrats to step up and help Republicans stop the shutdown. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thank you, Dale. Well, security experts are concerned about potential threats going into next week's elections as worries grow about cyber attacks, misinformation, and even physical violence. While off-year elections aren't usually a target, this year is shaping up to be an exception. CBN national security correspondent Caitlin Burke shows us why.
America's threat environment is now considered to be highly volatile given recent events and divisive political issues. Experts warn these conditions create an opening for bad actors, both foreign and domestic, to undermine Tuesday's elections.
We will likely see online content that's intended to inspire and facilitate violent or destructive activities that would benefit the efforts of these foreign hostile powers to sow discord, undermine confidence in our democratic institutions, and even inspire violent activity.
Homeland Security expert John Cohen with the Center for Internet Security, or CIS, warns states getting national attention are especially at risk.
The playbook used by our adversaries, particularly Russia, China, Iran, foreign terrorist groups, will be to look at those issues that are most divisive, that are causing the most turbulence in American society, and they'll seek to exploit those by creating and pushing out content online that's intended to exacerbate the polarized, divisive nature of our public discourse.
Cyber attacks, now a critical weapon used by our adversaries, according to a recent CIS election threat analysis.
We see government organizations, including election organizations, being targeted for phishing campaigns, where emails that are intended to encourage the recipient to click on a link, which then introduces malware or technical capabilities that will either allow the hacker to access information that they then use in a information campaign to undermine credibility of the election, or even impact the operations of those systems.
Cohen points out the highly polarized nature of American society is a major root of the problem.
An increasing number of people in our society believe that violence is an acceptable way to express their ideological or political views or their opposition to the views of others.
Meanwhile, Capitol Hill lawmakers arguing about how to stop this violence, often adding to the dangerous rhetoric.
I'm worried that if we're just going to use the violence that we all abhor to get into an argument about whether it's more left or more right, we kind of lose the point that it's all to be condemned.
We are faced with only two paths. Either we confront this political violence and end it, or it will end us.
Experts urge voters to be skeptical about online reports these next few days and rely instead on trusted, verified sources. Meanwhile, election officials on all levels, along with law enforcement, are advised to evaluate any cyber vulnerabilities and be prepared for potential disruptions both on and offline. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Caitlin. Well, turning now to the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa and recovery efforts underway throughout the Caribbean. In Jamaica, Melissa's devastation led to power outages, blocked roads, and other damage, making cleanup efforts much more difficult. Government officials saying whole communities have been wiped out or isolated. CBN's Operation Blessing is in Montego Bay, partnering with a local church. The team arrived after sundown yesterday and began handing out solar lamps to bring light in the darkness.
It looks crazy, it's sketchy a little bit, but you know, God is with us, and this is a ray of hope for the families. We just park, and people start coming out of the darkness to get one of the solar lamps. This is just the story of Operation Blessing. We show up in dark places, and people comes attracted by the light. Such a metaphor of the gospel.
A message of the gospel indeed. Well, in coming days, the team will distribute food, water, hot meals, and water purification systems and medical care to the community. Gordon?
If you're a member of the 700 Club, that's you on the ground in Jamaica today. If you want to contribute to the effort, it's real simple. You say, I want to give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can write to us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. Just put disaster relief in the memo line of a check, or you can call us and say, I want to give to disaster relief. You can go to cbn.com. There's a place on the giving page where you can designate your gift to that, or you can text OBDR to 71777. Let's be a part of helping people in tremendous need. The video shows the obvious need in Jamaica. Let's step up and let's stand with them to say, yes, we're with you through this disaster. We want to see you through.
Operation Blessing is responding to Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. Our team, global response team, is coming together, traveling from all over the world from the U.S., getting supplies together, packing packages for the families that are going to be affected by this horrific, catastrophic hurricane that is hitting Jamaica as we speak. Your prayers are so needed in this time. We lost communication with our partners on the ground because of the storm, and we can only pray for them, pray for safety, pray for hope. We're prepping water, food supplies, solar lamps that are going to be so needed. The first week of this disaster, water is going to be critical. The different ways for them to get water are going to get polluted. So we're prepping chlorinators, water purifications, units for families and large scale too. We're getting our chefs ready to get there and see ways that we can feed the people that are going to be in need. We're prepping cargo too, pallets of food and different hygiene things for the family. Hygiene is going to be critical. Thanks to God and thanks to you that you've been walking with Operation Blessing for so many years. We have our warehouses with supplies. So we're getting together, prepping the pallets, getting it ready to get to Miami. Miami is going to be our hub as logistic, so we can ship cargo and fly our team also from there to Jamaica in the next coming days. Thank you for embracing the families of Jamaica, embracing us too in prayer. We pray for you too, and as you pray for us. God bless you.
Well, a new discovery is shedding light on the early church. The Megiddo mosaic dates back nearly 2,000 years, and experts believe it decorated one of the earliest Christian worship sites in Israel. CBN News Washington correspondent Michelle London takes us to the Museum of the Bible to show us this foundation from an early church.
Here in the nation's capital, we're already seeing evidence of how this beautifully preserved 1,800-year-old Megiddo mosaic is bringing the start of Christianity back to life.
We now have rediscovered it and can witness Christianity so far back.
Behind each of these original artifacts lies a powerful story reaching across generations.
It's kind of crazy, and how they just finally discovered it, which is pretty significant, I think.
From teenagers to history teachers.
This exhibit, for sure, has been my favorite part.
We saw an eagerness to learn.
What we teach and something that is an artifact, something that is real, and something that most importantly is interesting, is really profound for students.
When I heard about this mosaic and read the story behind it, I got the same kind of chills and the same kind of goosebumps.
Historians like the Museum of the Bible Scholars Initiative director, Dr. Bobby Duke, described the Megiddo mosaic as the greatest discovery in Israel since the Dead Sea Scrolls.
What's something people don't know about this exhibit or may not know?
I would say the question we get asked the most often, is it real? It does date back to the 3rd century, AD 230.
A period before Christianity became an official religion of the Roman Empire. The Megiddo mosaic features a table used for communion and a design showing 2 fish, early symbols of Christianity, with handcrafted geometric patterns.
To make the designs that we see even around this flooring here, I mean, that takes hours and hours and hours.
The mosaic likely decorated one of the oldest Christian prayer halls in Megiddo, a city located in Canaan. In the 1940s, this site of ancient worship became buried under a newly maximum security prison, where it remained for 60 years. Then, in 2005, archaeologists accidentally rediscovered it.
They're wanting to do some construction. And whenever you do construction in Israel, you have to do a salvage archaeological dig to make sure that you're not constructing over something significant.
They carefully excavated the mosaic, hiding it securely in northern Israel, until flying it here for a first public appearance.
Show us some of the exciting features, the inscriptions.
So the first one right here is dedicated to a man named Gaianus.
Historians say he was a Roman centurion who helped fund the mosaic floor and table, a rare show of unity between Romans and Christians. The second inscription describes some key women in early Christianity, while the third marks history.
The table is dedicated to the God Jesus Christ. Now this phrase, God Jesus Christ, is in the 5th line of the inscription, and it is actually in a shortened form, so the letters that have the lines over them, it is actually a respectful way to write those words.
Dr. Duke believes these early writings are some of the first to show belief in the deity of Jesus, with this inscription from a Christian woman identified as a Keptis that reads, God Jesus Christ. The Megiddo mosaic is one he hopes will open up a world of possibilities for future discoveries.
I think the thing that excites me the most is we never know what the next excavation is going to show and demonstrate. No one before 2005 would have ever dreamed we would have found something as beautiful and significant as this. So what's around the corner?
The Megiddo mosaic exhibit runs through 2026 at the Museum of the Bible, and admission to it is free. Reporting in Washington, Michelle London, CBN News.
Well, the archaeology coming out of Israel these days is absolutely astounding. And here's the key part of that archaeology. There hasn't been a single discovery that disproves the Bible. In fact, all of them echo the Bible and show that the Bible is accurate history, not just of the early church, but also of the nation of Israel, going back to its founding. You look at the archaeology, and it's like 1st, 2nd Kings, written in stone. So it's incredible what's coming out of Israel today. Let's rejoice in it and rejoice with the Museum of the Bible that is right here in America, and we can easily go and see it for ourselves in Washington, D.C. Oracles of God, the story of the New Testament, shows you how the words of Jesus were passed down from his earliest disciples into your hands today. This has been filmed in multiple countries across 4 continents, and this gripping film captures all the drama, the danger, and the divine power behind the book that changed the world.
Many people have set out to write accounts about the events that have been fulfilled among us. We did not follow cleverly devised stories, but we were eyewitnesses of His Majesty.
Well, Erin Zimmerman is with us now. She is the writer, the director, the producer, the everything of Oracles of God, and then so many other films from CBN Films, and she's here with us now. So tell us, how did Oracles of God start? What was the spark that said, okay, I've got to do this film?
Basically, the spark was God telling me to do it. I cannot claim credit for this idea as well. I was living in Israel and working on a line of projects that I had to do while I still lived there. And I just sort of had a fleeting thought, I wonder what's going to come after all of these. And it was, honestly, it was like lightning through my head. Nothing like that ever happened to me. Creation of the Bible. And my reaction was very Jonah-esque. No.
Not me.
Absolutely no. Not me, Lord, please, anybody but me. And I really felt, my first argument was, I don't know anything about that topic. And my second argument was, well, that's been done before. I like to do things that no one else is doing. And I really felt the Lord say to me, well, why don't you go watch the movies that have been done? And so I did. And every single one that I watched was done from the perspective of the Bible cannot be trusted. It's been translated and copied too many times to be trustworthy, and my favorite, the patriarchy had these secret gospels and they hid them and they kept them out of the Bible from us. And, doesn't everyone love a secret gospel? So when I watched all that, I said, okay, Lord, I know why you want this done now. There's a real hole here that we need to fill. There are beautiful books on this topic. I didn't see a movie that covered it in a way that I thought was honoring to the Word of God and really told the truth.
Why have those ideas taken a hold of our culture? I'll just say, probably even before Dan Brown came out with his critique, it's like, well, we can't trust the Bible because it was assembled centuries after the events, and it's all sort of myth and made up, and there's so many errors. How in the world did that get into our culture and get so embedded that people, literally the average person on the street, thinks that?
Well, it really started in the 1700s in Germany with higher criticism. That is, really, people didn't question it until then. So for 1700 years, everybody was kind of cool with the Bible until they started just picking apart every part of Christianity, and that sort of bled into the rest of Europe. It came over here, and I have found in the people that I've read that subscribe to this, they've had something happen in their lives. And there's a theologian that I won't name, but he was trained with the best theologians in America. He had something bad happen into his life, and he got really bitter. He became an agnostic, and yet he is still teaching in a university, in the divinity schools, writing books on biblical manuscripts from his sort of bitter, divorced from Christianity viewpoint. And so I think people like that have done a lot of harm here in America. All the questioning, it comes from some bad thing that's happened to them, really.
Well, you've gone through for lack of a better, an epic journey to get us this film. I mean, that spark was all the way back in 2017. Yeah. So there were budget problems. There was COVID, a pandemic that completely shut it down. And then when you finally got shooting, a war. So at this point in time, what's sort of your greatest memory of this journey? You know, we can talk about all the problems, but what was one of the most memorable successes of it?
Actually, the problems caused the successes. This was the single most rewarding, personally and professionally, experience of my life. And there was a point after October 7th, that's when I really said to God, okay, come on. We've been in Israel all summer. We got to the point we were supposed to start filming on October 9th, 2023. 2 days before that, you know, in comes Hamas. And I said, okay, God, I get it, but why did you have me here? Why did you have us do all the work only to have to shove it all in a warehouse? It seems like a waste of time to me. And two things happened. One, the Lord spoke to me and said, you know, it's important for you to be here on October 7th. I didn't realize this, but I did during the course of this. It is really important to my Israeli cast and crew that I was there. And I was the only American in the cast. They were all Israeli. It was important to them that I was there with them and not afraid to come back, not afraid to work with them, you know, not taking my production to Greece or somewhere else. This was important, and this spoke to them, and they all told me that. So great, that was God's will. But another great thing that happened is who knew that this was going to be what the Wall Street Journal calls the golden age of Bible publishing right now. So back in 2017, I was thinking I'll knock this thing out in a couple of years. But now that it's releasing, we have this unbelievable interest in the Bible now. Bible sales last year were up 22%. This year, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, up 36%. So what an amazing time to release this movie. God knew what he was doing.
And the interest is fascinating to me. It's primarily young men who want to, you know, I heard from a pastor just last week saying, well, what they really want is a continuity with the past so that they can build that into a family and into generational legacy. They're rejecting what modern society is telling them they can be or should be and saying, no, the ancients had it right. I want to get back in touch with that. What do you want people to take away from this film?
Well, I'm looking at the series as a whole. This film is a great, nice, easy introduction to the New Testament. We're not going to get super deep and controversial in this one. You know, everybody loves The Chosen and House of David and these biblical stories. So we're just going to go back and say, what is the origin story of these stories? How did we get them? You know, how did Matthew and Mark and Luke write things down? Paul, you know, James is one we take particular focus on, James, the brother of Jesus, because the Bible doesn't tell us a whole lot about him. Just that he was Jesus' brother, didn't believe in him. Then there's a really key verse. It's a tiny little part of the Bible. It says, after his resurrection, then Jesus appeared to Peter and to James, then to all the apostles. So what was that appearance like to James to change him from a non-believer to the head of the first church ever in Jerusalem? So the church fathers have given us a little story, a little background on what that story was like. So we put it in the film.
Well, it's one of the fascinating, for me, one of the fascinating scenes in the film, because you do have just that little mention from Paul, that, and it's a singular one. He appeared to James as an isolated event. The way he writes it, it's like the entire world knows about this. This isn't something that's been hidden, but yet from our modern standpoint, looking back, there are very few sources for it. So how did you construct that scene? What were the prime texts for that?
We go straight back to the sources of the church fathers, which kind of sounds like a bunch of old graybeard men, but these guys were the ones that were fighting, that were writing down the basic tenets of Christianity and forming them, and some dying and some being persecuted for them. So they were, to me, they were heroes. And wow, did they leave us a goldmine of information. A lot of them lived right there in Judea. A lot of them lived a little bit further out, but they all knew these stories passed down from generation to generation. So I found a great story by a man named Hegesippus. Everybody knows that one. Yeah, he's a big one.
I'm just trying to master Eusebius and okay.
And the great thing is a lot of it, but Eusebius was a great one too, because a lot of these writings were lost in the 1st century, but this guy Eusebius in the 3rd century had written them all down in his writings, and his writings survived. So I found this amazing story, not just about Jesus' visit to James, which, you have to watch the movie to see it, but also the death of James, which was a very, he was basically a Christian martyr, and it was a bit of a graphic death, so.
Well, he's such a key figure because the Gospels do record that as a brother of Jesus, he was, not a believer. He's like, what are you doing? You're embarrassing us all. and then, so after the resurrection, Jesus goes out of his way to personally appear to him. And then James becomes a leader of the church in Jerusalem, recognized by none other than the Apostle Paul. So that transformation of a close relative from skeptic to beyond believer and a writer of one of the books in the New Testament. What would you encourage churches, Bible study groups, families to do? The movie opens Sunday. How can they experience it together?
For sure. I would say go buy tickets. This is an amazing lesson, and I like a little drama with my academic knowledge. Like Mary Poppins says, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So if you're going to give a lot of knowledge out there and a lot of facts, I love to put a lot of reenactments in there and a lot of drama. So it's a great drama. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes long. Go see it. Go take your pastors. Encourage your church to go. You can take your kids to go see this one. It was funny, we got sort of a movie review that said, well, there's a little alcohol use. It's Jesus at the Last Supper. There's a little upper male nudity. It's the crucifixion. This is okay for your kids. We do not have the big violence in this one. This is a great story. What happened after the stories in the Bible? How did we get these stories?
All right. Aaron's done a marvelous job weaving together both drama, you really get immersed in a 1st century experience. It's all shot on site in Israel. The locations are all authentic. Everything you're going to see is exactly as it was in the 1st century. Erin has absolutely done her homework, and I'm a super fan. I love all of her films. So you can experience Oracles of God, the story of the New Testament. Is starting this Sunday, and it's in theaters nationwide, just 3 days, November 2, November 3, November 5. Moviegoers will also get an exclusive first look at the next action-packed installment of this series, because there's more to come in Oracles of God. So be sure to get your tickets. Go to cbn.com/tickets, and if you don't get them online today, you can always just show up at the theater on Sunday, Monday, and next Wednesday, and you too can experience a wonderful film. Once you see this film, you're never going to read the Bible the same way again.
Welcome back to Washington for the CBN News Break. A former leader in the Church of Satan who says he had a supernatural encounter with Jesus Christ is sounding the alarm about the demonic realities of Halloween. Rian Swigelar tells CBN News it's the highest day on the satanic calendar.
Become part of popular culture without many people really thinking about what it represents.
He also has a warning for Christians who are celebrating Halloween, saying they're actually having what he describes as a one-night stand with the devil. You can see the full interview on cbnnews.com. Well, be sure to switch your clocks back an hour Saturday night as daylight saving time comes to an end. A new poll shows that the system isn't so popular, though. 47% say they're against it, although 51% don't care one way or the other. If people had to make a choice, 56% say they'd make daylight saving time permanent, while 42% would stick with regular time. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News, no matter the time, at our website, cbnnews.com.
Alima is a Christian widow in Kenya. She raised her children in a dirty, smoky, leaky, cramped house. All the while she kept praying, Lord, do a miracle.
In rural Kenya, Alima, a widowed mother, lives with her children in a cramped and crumbling mud house.
This house is no longer enough for me and my children. We don't all fit on the bed, so the children sleep beside the fireplace on sheets laid on the floor. The smoke irritates our throats and eyes. When it rains, it leaks and everything gets soaked. My heart is very troubled because of how we suffer. But what can I do? The little I earn from working on the farms barely covers my children's basic needs.
Despite her struggles, Alima kept holding on to hope.
I prayed constantly. I told God, look at this house. You are my only hope. Lord, do a miracle and give us a better place to live, because by myself, I can't.
When Operation Blessing learned about Alima's situation, your generosity helped build her a new house so her family could have a warm, safe home.
What a big difference we have experienced. We have moved in on a Friday and the very next day it rained. But this time we stayed dry. We don't feel the cold anymore. We have enough blankets and the children each have their own beds and room where they sleep without smoke from the fire bothering them. I have my own room and bed too. Now, even when I come home tired, I have a good place to sleep and rest. We are all comfortable and very, very happy. Thank you, Operation Blessing. You've helped me and my children more than words can say. May the good Lord bless you.
You know, when you live in an area that is known for poverty and now you're a widow and you have children, life just can seem pretty hopeless. And then 700 Club members, what a privilege to be able to, because of your generosity and compassion, come right into the midst of that need and say, we want to make a difference in your life. You can see the joy on her face. I mean, when this happens for someone, the whole village rejoices, and the whole village sees the love and the provision of Jesus. We want to say thank you for giving. You know, the Maasai tribes are just a small portion of what we do in Africa alone, but your work is happening all around the world, and it couldn't happen without your agreement, without your commitment, without your saying, I want to make that difference. So we say thank you to you. 65 cents a day, $20 a month makes you a 700 Club member. That means you're part of every outreach that we do, both here at home and around the globe. We want to ask you if you'd consider going up to the next level. If you're a 700 Club member, would you become a gold member? That's $40 a month. And then our 1,000 Club members join us at $84 a month. We have a 2,500 Club level. That's $2,500 a year, and it works out to $209 a month. Our founders, $5,000 a year. That's $417 a month. Would you join with us today? You can do it. It's so easy. You can call our toll-free number, 1-800-700-7000, and talk to a friend on the other end of the line and join that way. Or you can also go to cbn.com if you prefer to join online. You can even text CBN to 71777. But do something to make a difference today. We really can when we do it together. Joy could sense evil all around her. She even felt it in her sleep. She thought she was facing demonic opposition because she was in the right place, but she was wrong.
There's a thin line, sane and insanity. And I felt like I was teetering on that line, like something is happening to me, to my body that is otherworldly. Everything is leaving me. My mind is leaving me. She was using me as a sacrifice.
For Joy George, growing up in a house with 4 older brothers meant not always getting the personal comfort or attention she needed from her parents. To help cope, she made a close friend in Jesus Christ.
I can actually remember the children's minister asking us who wants Jesus to be your friend. I remember going up to the altar call at 7 years old and her leading me through a salvation prayer. And I felt after that day that he was my friend. Like I felt just warm, feeling alone sometimes. I would just lean into Jesus. I just always felt him. I always felt that warmness.
Joy's zeal for Christ and sharing the gospel grew as she got older. However, the mission of winning hearts soon became more important than her personal relationship with Jesus.
I'm trying to be somebody. I'm trying to feel needed. I'm trying to feel like I'm not a failure. I have to prove to you, God, that I'm worthy to be loved, because that's how I felt it was growing up.
Then her home was torn apart.
I was about 22 years old when my parents were in the process of a divorce. It shook my foundation. I felt like I didn't have a place to belong. Ended up going to Alabama to try to pursue ministry.
She was given a tour of the Bible college by a woman who then offered for Joy to stay with her and her husband while she got on her feet.
My parents was not happy. They were like, we don't even know this lady. But for me, I'm like, she works at the school. She interviewed me. At that point, I felt like they lost all of their credibility because they're going through a divorce. I just heard, you're trying to stop me from building my own life and doing what God has called me to do.
Joy moved into their home in spite of her parents' misgivings. At first, it seemed like providence, but then strange things began happening.
An uneasiness started to set in. I was just having dreams, demonic dreams, where I was always being pursued or chased by like zombies or demonic spirits. I just thought, well, this is demonic opposition because I'm in the right place. I remember her having a conversation with me, telling me that her husband's mother is a witch. So I just thought, okay, well, the mother must have an issue with the wife, so that has nothing to do with me.
Then one evening, Joy returned to an empty house. A plate of food was in the kitchen with her name on it.
When I was getting ready to eat that food, I heard the Holy Spirit say, don't eat that. I just thought I was bugging out. You know, at that point, I was like, why can't I eat the food? I'm not even, so I just ignore it. I ate that food. It was literally immediate. Like I could barely see, it was like blurry. So I'm like blinking my eyes like, what is going on? And so I lay down in bed shivering, and then I feel something like grab my abdomen, and I just feel cold wind going through my body. So at this point, now I know there was something in that food. I gotta get out of here, because now I know without a shadow of a doubt, it was her the whole time. She was the witch. It wasn't the mother, it was her.
After Joy rushed home, her mother began praying for God to deliver her. But the battle for her soul had only begun.
I remember looking in the mirror. These are not my eyes. And then I'm hearing little whispers and voices. I'm hearing like screeches on the wall. I remember feeling like there were snakes on the ground. This cannot be happening. Like, I'm a Christian. Like, how can this be happening to me?
Joy's mother took her to a deliverance ministry. There, it was revealed through prayer that the witch was using Joy as a sacrifice to move up rank in her coven. Through the ministry's intercession, over the course of 6 months, the curse was finally lifted. Still, her faith was shattered.
I felt like God abandoned me. How could you let this happen? I was angry at God. It was a downward spiral after that.
For several years, Joy fell into rebellion, drinking, pursuing unhealthy relationships, running from God. She finally came to a place where she couldn't feel him at all anymore.
Felt like my heart was turning cold, and it scared me. I did not feel the presence of God. Now I remember I felt the presence of God at 7 years old when I asked Jesus to be my friend. And that's when I knew I needed to make a change, and I needed to run back home to him, because I'm like, I can't live feeling like I don't have hope. It was never God's fault. He tried to warn me. He didn't want this to happen to me. And so when I took accountability is when the healing started to take place.
Today, Joy's peace has been restored.
I learned how to just go back to when I was really young and just open up the Bible, read scriptures, not trying to, come up with a whole entire sermon or anything. It wasn't any of that. It was just, I'm this little girl in need of her father, and he has proven to me that he can be trusted, that he's here, and that he has never left me, even when I felt he did. God has a rescue plan in place for you. He will rescue you from yourself. He will rescue you from hurt, pain, things that you've endured, and he'll make it beautiful.
I love the way that Joy went back to what she'd done as a 7-year-old little girl. She opened the Word, and she opened the Word and read truth because she wanted to be close to the one who is truth. Jesus is much more interested in what he can and is able through your willingness to do in you than he is about what you can do for him. I'm not saying you are not called to do things for the Lord, but I'm saying the first priority is your relationship with him. Sometimes it's when we do these other things, often in rebellion. Her going away and not listening and being in this home came because she was angry about her parents' divorce, and it messed up her world. I get that. But, it opens a portal sometimes to demonic activity in our lives. We talk about the Lord a lot on this program because he is the one. He is the one who created us, the one with intention, with purpose, with hope and a future, with eternity in mind. But there is an evil one who is the prince of this world, it says. While we're here, if we open doors, portals of opportunity to him, he'll come in. He's the father of lies. He'll tell you things that are not true. He'll speak things to your heart and to your mind. He'll disrupt your life. All that glitters is not gold, my friends. But Jesus is genuine and real. He is who he said he is. And if you find yourself in a place like this, he's the one who'll set you free. He said that's why he came. I came to set the captive free, not just from demonic activity, but as Joy said at the end, sometimes it's from ourselves. We make poor choices, we make selfish choices, we make decisions that are not in our best interest as children of God. There's always an opportunity to come back home to the Father heart of God. He's never not available to you. And when you're at that deep place where you feel like you can't do it anymore, it's that hand of love that comes down and picks you up and sets your feet on a rock and gives you a fresh beginning. Here's a word from Thessalonians. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. God bless you. See you next week.
Many people have set out